My name is Tosh Kojima. I'm a managing director at DC Advisory, and I head our Asia deal desk. I've been in the trade for nearly 18 years, and most of which time has been spent on advising specifically on Europe and Asia cross-border transactions. DC Advisory is first and foremost a premier M&A advisory house based out of Europe. So as such, over the last 12 months, we have completed 82 transactions successfully. Over the last 2.5 years, we have successfully advised on 18 transactions, where in most of the cases where the buyers were Asian for European assets. As DC Advisory, one of the things we do most often is to advise European sellers of the asset to a global buyer base. In my case, I focus on delivering and accessing the most appropriate Asian buyers for the European asset. Not only is it important to get the right buyer universe, but how we sell the European asset to the Asian buyer is very important. So when we get the assignment, we want to make sure that we maximize the chances that the assets are sold in the most appropriate manner to the Asians. So let's talk about dealing with Japanese bidders. One of the most important things is to understand what information you're going to give it to them and throttle it in the right sequence. So, as we all know, the Japanese require consensus building, so they bring in R&D, the sales and marketing, the senior management, and then they will all look at the company that they're going to buy. By sequencing the right information, so if the strategic motive is pushing the Japanese buyer, then there's no point in bombarding them with a lot of financial information. But you need to get them the big picture, how the company gets integrated into their operation to fulfill their global ambition. And once a consensus is built, from our experience, they tend to stick to it. How you can reduce the deal execution risk all depends on how you correctly sequence and throttle the information to them. So once we have the right Asian buyers, the next important thing is to have the right process. And here, there's no point in prescribing a Western or European process and hope that the Asian buyer is going to fit around that. That's not going to work. I'll give you one example of when we successfully maximized the level of interest and interaction from the Asian buyer whilst running a globalized process. This was a case of a certain semiconductor asset that we sold. So this particular asset had unique appeal to Asians and Americans, Europeans alike. So from the outset, we devised a parallel process to deal with two unique set of buyers in a very bespoke process. For the European and American, we run a mini process in a very conventional manner, so information pack, summary up front, increasing amount of financial materials for the due diligence. And for the Japanese and Asians, we run the whole process backwards. So we didn't give the financial information until the very end because we knew what would motivate them is a strategic imperative to acquire this asset. So we started with a very simple sheet of a publicly disclosed product specification spec that's often used in trade shows, etc. And we sent the whole bundle of that to a number of Japanese, together with a very thin teaser material. To some of them, we have sent them an actual working chip set for them to test. Long before we were going to launch a global process, we got the Japanese buyers, multiple Japanese buyers, on the hook. They were highly motivated, they got their R&D department involved, they got their sales and marketing appraise how this new product is going to fit into their global portfolio of products, and they were very excited. The next important thing, once we got various buyers on the hook around the world, is to synchronize the offer from all the buyers in a comparable way. And although we run the process backwards for the Asians, by carefully sequencing and throttling the information, we were able to encourage the right level of corporate consensus building in their organization to extract offers in a very comparable way to the Western offers that we were getting in a very conventional manner. And in the end, the asset has been sold to a Japanese buyer at a very financially attractive price, to the delight of our European client.